Everybody, welcome to the very first App versus App. We are here going to somewhere, nowhere in New York. We have our McDonald's here. We're ready to go. Is my wife Tara here? You may hear in audio form. She's waving, but you can't hear her. Just say hi at the podcast.
Oh, well, you're filming, so I don't know.
Yeah, she don't know. So anyway, we're doing both, Tara. We're doing video and audio. So there you go.
Hi, people.
Yeah.
Hello.
So
Hello.
she is driving us to New York. Now we are going to Montecito, New York, wherever that is. Monticello, New York. We are going to be using two different apps to do this. So I wanted to just show the camera here. So we are using, I'm going to be using Apple Maps on this phone. And I'm using, we're going to be using Waze to compare it. It is time for App versus App. It is Apple Maps versus Waze.
Ooh.
Let's get ready to rumble!
This is going to be 2 hours and 38 minutes according to Apple Maps. They have the same battery life. We're going to compare battery life as well. There's going to be no charge on these. We're going to see how they act without battery connected to it. Go ahead and hit go now. 2 hours 31 minutes. Right now our estimated arrival time. So I can already tell right away there is a mile difference here, 161 compared to 152. So there is going to be a mileage difference, and this is saying we're going to get there faster compared to this one. There's just something I have to say about these French fries. McDonald's French fries are the best. So of course we're running into traffic because that's New Jersey and that happens. But one thing I noticed right when we were getting on the Garden State Parkway is
13 miles. Keep left onto Garden State Parkway North.
So, thank you very much, Siri. So I noticed that it told us to be in the left two lanes going onto the, basically the jug handle we take to get on the parkway. Waze did not say anything like that. It was basically telling us to go 13 miles straight.
Go straight on for 14 minutes.
There you go,
to
down.
Garden State Parkway, North Toll Plaza.
There you go.
Lanes, EZ Pass, Alt.
I have no idea what he just said right there.
The British tolls.
The British man.
Go towards the British tolls.
So, the one thing I'll tell you is that Apple Maps is much more descriptive as far as like getting on somewhere. So when we took the jug handle, it told us to stay in the left two lanes. Now stay in the left lane. Waze didn't say anything going through the toll booth. So that is one thing I will tell you. Now both of them do see the traffic issues that we're running into right now. So we will have some traffic here. And the one thing I'll tell you about Waze, it does tell you the miles per hour, which I like, where Apple Maps does not. But obviously the colors indicate you're going to be stopping the traffic. The phone actually told me, hey, you can go a faster way. And it popped up and said...
In 3/4 of a mile,
we basically
keep
skipped
left
it.
onto Garden State Parkway North.
I want to try to do it exactly the way it tells us to go. But I just noticed that, Waze has not told us to change anything, but Apple Maps has. Now, I'm going to let you know on this phone, because you're probably looking at it like, well, there's something different about it. Well, yes, I am using a beta version.
Use the left 3 lanes to keep left onto Garden State Parkway North.
Thank you. So as you can see, it's much more detailed than Waze is as far as like telling you where to go. Now, I am using a beta software of iOS 13 on here. That's using iOS 12. So there could be some differences because of that. But if that's... if it tells me a different way, that's something new. I haven't seen Apple Maps tell me to go a different way. Very rare I do that. Waze is more...
Right onto Garden State
Keep
Parkway,
left.
North Toll Plaza.
All right.
Cash Lanes, EZ Pass, Alt.
So as you can see, what's interesting about Garden State Parkway
For 23
is...
miles,
there...
continue straight.
Shut up. So you can see that there's actually a split in the road here. This is something very unique to Jersey where
Straight on for
we
11
have...
minutes to cross
You
over
all
for
stink. I'm turning you all
Right
up.
3 lanes.
My wife is going to make the decision to go into the right lane.
I am.
So you are following actually what Apple Maps said. If you go on YouTube, you'll see exactly what I'm doing right now. Go check out our YouTube channel. Alright, if you hear that wonderful noise, that's a humongous rainstorm we have right now. Outside is terrible right now, so we are going to be seriously be testing these apps out. I can tell you right now, based on this drive, the Waze app understands that we're in some traffic here. Apple Maps really does not know that. It's saying that we're normal, so you can see that based on the sound, and if you're watching this on YouTube, you can see that this is pretty bad.
Left onto Garden State Parkway North.
Thank you very much, baby. When Apple Maps is not being used, I did put both of these items to sleep at one point, Now, she's using the driving, do not disturb me while driving feature, so that could possibly be a difference. Also, when I unlock it and turn it back on, it's right back on the Maps app. So what's really nice about that is I don't have to worry about unlocking it using my face. So that's a very, I think, unique feature. I have seen that before with Maps. The Apple Maps, you really don't have to unlock it. I have seen times where Waze actually forgets I'm even doing driving, even when I leave the app. So when you put it to sleep, not so much, but when you leave it, it kind of forgets that you're driving somewhere. So that, to me, is a little bit of a disadvantage with Waze, is that it doesn't work as good with the operating system. But that's one thing I just wanted to point out, is that I think putting it to sleep, especially using Apple Maps, is a very big plus. And by the way, when I did the sleep feature, I did them at the exact same time. That way the battery life's not affected by it. By the way, this trip is sponsored by Pepperidge Farm Milanos, the new salted caramel chocolate. Tara, now what do you do to say about these cookies?
They're yummy.
She likes the cookies, guys. And yes, that is Grumpy Cat on the dashboard. All right, we're about halfway through our trip to
Woohoo!
wherever New York we're going.
Middle of nowhere,
New York. So I just want to point out one thing, that on Apple Maps was making us go a different direction. We were going to stay on the Garden State Parkway to go straight up. We're going to what was called the New York Thruway. That's both ways we're going is going to take us there. We're taking 287. If anything, it saved us money on tolls. That's what Waze told us to go. So we're going on Waze's
There's zero
suggestion.
traffic out here.
And there's no traffic out here. So compared to maybe the Garden State Parkway, might be a little bit busier. But the ETA on Apple Maps right now says 2:57 p.m. and on Waze it says 2:52. By the way, this song, Stephanie Taylor couldn't play it. She should have listened to Uncle Jesse. She didn't listen. Go watch that episode. You get the reference. All right, guys. Make sure, of course, you always follow us at ThinkPod on Twitter. Search us on Facebook, the Think Different Podcast, as well as we are on all platforms. You can follow us on Apple Podcasts. You can go find us on Google Music. We'll be on Stitcher, SoundCloud. You can check us out there. Our Think Different Podcast. A new episode comes out every Friday. And for Apple news and retail stories coming to you from former Apple Genius employees. Except for my co-host Tim, he's technically a Genius admin. He wasn't a genius, but whatever. He knows what he's doing. Hey, we made it to New
Left
York.
onto 87 north,
Hooray.
New York Thruway, New York 17
Oh my
north.
God! Look at all the mountains. All right, guys. Real quick, I wanted to show you one of the new features in iOS 13 that was not on Apple Maps before. If I tap on the bottom, you will now see a share ETA.
Save 10 minutes via US 6 West. This route requires tolls.
So it's telling us to go a different way, right? Well, we're in the middle of this, so that's up to Tara. But I'm gonna say no thanks, and we'll keep going the same direction that we're going in. So anyway, I was going back to the share ETA. It's a new feature that you get to share your ETA status. Now, of course, in Waze, this already existed. This is a new feature now inside of iOS 13. And you just pick your contacts, and then that's how you do it. By the way, those mountains that are way up there, that's where the people's wedding is at, somewhere in that mountain area. I'm kidding. So I switched from the dark mode over. This is in iOS 13. This is what it looks like in the dark. And I'll be honest, you can't see the parks or anything. Like, all the greenery's gone. You can see the lakes, but that's really it. But if I go back to light mode, and this is a beta, so this could change, but you can see the parks now, a little more traffic options. So honestly, dark mode doesn't look as good in the GPS thing, so I just noticed that comparing the two. You may want to think about not using dark mode during maps, just because I noticed that, and that would probably confuse me a little bit. But that, again, this is a beta, so they could be updating it, but I just thought that was an interesting point to work out, that in dark mode you just don't see as much detail as you do in light mode. So I wonder if they'll change that down the line. For me, I think they should do something like that. I don't think they should make it weird. So again, this is, if you're on YouTube, you can see this in light mode. Go to dark mode, switch it back. All right, so we are very close to our destination. That's right, 3 minutes to go. It's been a long travel, but we're almost there. Yes, that's a cat hanging from there. But we're gonna just give you our final thoughts real quick. We're almost done here. As you can see on the map, we are almost to our destination, and then we'll give you our final review. All right, guys, real quick. Last thing we want to talk about right before we talk about the final reviews, battery life. Now, of course, these are different things that are happening in the background while we're doing it. But as you can see, Waze, ate up a lot of battery life compared to that. I mean, so again, because remember, the one thing is that Maps does go to sleep. So you can see she's pretty much under 20%, and this one's still pretty good. So not saying this is exact science of exactly the same scenario. It obviously won't be the perfect thing, but as you can see, the battery life has completely diminished from the trip. That was on, what was that, all the way at the top, basically? Before
Yeah,
we
it was
left.
at 100%.
She was very close to 100% on this. So you can see that Waze really kills your battery. All right, guys, so the review is finally over. We are now at our destination in Monticello, New York. So we went to our final destination. So let's talk about the pros and cons. So first I'm going to talk about Apple Maps. Pros are battery life. That is definitely seen from the Waze app. I can tell you right now, that is a huge plus for Apple Maps regarding that. I would say that the fact that the screen goes to sleep while you're actually using it, that is also, I think, a major plus to the app while doing it. And then remember, this is running a beta, so this stuff could change on this app. But I think it was more descriptive of what you were doing. So that's how I look at it. The cons of it, I would say, is that the traffic patterns are not as direct on there. I don't think it's not as good. And then the final thing, I would say, this is kind of a small thing, but I don't think it knows where to take you right away. It kind of figures it out as you go along. So when it came to Waze never redirected us. Apple Maps tried to do it twice. So I can tell you that they were definitely not too sure of where to send you. Stop making noise. When it comes to Waze, the plus sign is that Waze definitely always knows where to take you. That is probably the number one thing I will tell you, is that it's pretty on spot every time where you're going. It is using a Google algorithm after all. So really, when you're using Waze, you're using Google Maps at the end of the day. So that would be the biggest thing. And I would say it's more on target of your time. I don't think Apple Maps figures it out as well. It maybe does down the line, but when you're first starting off, it really knows the exact amount of time you're going to take to do it. So that would be my big plus for that. Now, the negative on it is the battery. It's going to kill your battery when you don't have it on a charge. So I can tell you right now that is a humongous no for me on Waze, is that the fact that it is just way too battery driven on there. The screen never turns off, so that is going to be a huge negative on there. And that's probably the biggest thing I could tell you with Waze, is the negative of it. And that's it. So, Tara, if you had to choose one, what would you choose based on the experience? So I'm going to use my wife as an example here.
Because of the fact that it sucked my battery away, I'm going to go with the one who didn't kill my battery.
All right, so that's our review for app versus app. If I had to pick the app, I would go with Apple Maps as well as my primary app. I would never use Waze unless I'm going somewhere I've never been before. So that's the only time I probably use it. Please make sure you subscribe to us on Apple Podcasts and all of our other platforms that we are on. And thank you for thinking different with me.